Instead of buying an EQ wedge, I fabricated a bracket to fit a Skywatcher AZ GTE and use it as a motorized equatorial wedge. I already had the GTE, so I figured, hey, why not do it? There's no need for an external power supply because it has an onboard 8 AA batteries. It's lightweight and compact, which makes it easy to fit on a good, sturdy camera tripod. And with the app, you can control it with your phone with a precision that's difficult, if not impossible, to achieve by turning a screw on its EQ wedge. Once you achieve your alignment, you simply turn it off, and there's no locking screws to push the alignment off. So let's go to the shop and take a look at this bracket that can turn your AZ GTE into a motorized EQ mount. And welcome to Dakota Starry Nights.
I have here a regular ADM solid Vixen dovetail, and as you can see, it's been used in a number of different hacks. So it's not very long, 7 inches or 80 millimeters. And what I did was I took this clamp, and this clamp is for a GoPro or action cam, and it's made by Pedco, P-E-D-C-O Ultra Clamp. And you can get these online, Amazon, and a number of different places. Just do a Google search if you want to go this route. I went this route because it broke, but it gave me pretty good service. I had it for a number of years. And then up here, it comes with this ball joint adjuster. So what I did here, I took a 3/8 inch Allen screw and tapped out a 3/8 inch hole here, and then screwed that into the back to go into this clamp, which is now attached to the Vixen dovetail. What's good about this clamp is that it has this already built into it. Now this is only 1/4 inch. So what you do is you put your dwarf scope, which is tapped out for 1/4 inch tripod, and clamp it right like that. And then this goes into the saddle of the Skywatcher AZ GTE. Once you attach this, you pretty much could use it like it is. Some things to keep in mind: you want to get this part parallel. Doesn't have to be super dead accurate, because remember, the purpose of this is to get you ballpark quick and to get it on a motorized EQ mount. The software will make the final adjustments, but the closer you can get this aligned, the better you're going to be. Now, if you don't want to spend the money on this, there's a cheaper way to do it. You can go to a hardware store and get an L bracket and stick it on there. I'm talking about something like this, but much bigger and heavier. This would work. And then what you would do is you'd bend it at a 90. You'd have to put it in a vise, bend it at a 90, and then you would clamp it here like this. You could easily put a 1/4 inch tap, 2 of them in here, and then come right there like that. Put a 1/4 inch tap here, or a bolt. If you want to just drill a hole and not put a 1/4 inch tap, you can run a 1/4 inch bolt machine screw through there and one through here with a washer, and see, you would pretty much be the same thing. And then you would be bending it right about here. Then the tricky bit is going to be to use a 1/4 inch either bolt, or you can go to the hardware store and they sell 1/4 inch or 3/8 if you've got a C-Star. they sell these kinds of knobs with the screw already embedded in it. And you can, from there, this is 1/4 inch, so this is like this. Okay, that's tapped out 1/4 inch. So now you have that 1/4 inch there, and then you would, let's say if that's your C-Star, or in this case, the Dwarf 3, I would just put that in like this. That would be the bottom of it, see? And then tighten it up, and then back this off if I need to. You get the idea. That would be pretty inexpensive. It's just as easy and just as good to use a nice piece of steel like that and bend it in a vise. When you're attaching the clamp, whether it's the one you buy or the one you make out of that flat piece of steel, if you look right here, you could see it's curved. And this edge is sharp. It's just a sharp 90 degree. So what happens is these two don't mate up flush. There's two ways you can take care of that. Even if you make one yourself, the bend is going to have a little bit of radius on the inside corner, whereas this has none. So what I did in this case to make up for that is I put a washer here to pull this clamp away from the side of the dovetail. Now, reason why I did that is so that you can get a nice flat seed right here. You could see how it's nice and flat. And then this end runs parallel to this side of the dovetail, and this one runs parallel there. So you're forming a nice 90 degree. If you don't do that, one or two things will happen. The bracket's either going to go up like that, or on this side, it'll go out like that. And either way, it's going to throw your alignment off. So you want to make sure that this is seating properly to the dovetail bar. Now, I already pointed out that one way you can do it is to put a washer here between here and your nut to bump this back to clear that radius. And the other way would be to grind or sand this edge off to where it matches the radius of the inside corner of your L bracket. It's a small little detail, guys, but it's important so that when you drop it into that saddle and you do your alignment, you're going to be equal all the way around. So then I had the idea of getting on the pole. And so what I did here, as you probably already figured out, I took a laser and attached it to a piece of metal channel that I put in here. Now this could be wood, or this could be aluminum, or some channel that you can pick up at the hardware store. I happen to have this laying around. It's a part of a full extension drawer glide. Yeah, I know. I like doing this kind of stuff, and it's fun. So the way I attached it, I put 2 screws up here and then put washers back here through the slot and attached it so it doesn't move. The one thing to keep in mind when you're working with this Skywatcher AZ-GTE is that it has to go into the saddle from this end down. The saddle doesn't open up wide enough to where you can tip it in and then lock it down. So in other words, if you had a screw here or here, you wouldn't be able to get this into the saddle. So you want to keep this much clear, and I've got 3 inches, and that's enough to get into the saddle. So getting back to this again, if you got a Vixen laying around, and I've got a box full of these things in different kinds, and so I just grabbed this one because it doesn't have to be very long. Then once you put your channel in there, then it's a simple matter of taking a laser and attaching it on there like that. And what I did here, I had a O-ring, rubber O-ring. These are really good because the rubber on these is really heavy duty. I mean, it's better than a rubber band. And then you want to make sure it's lying nice and flat inside the channel. Now, I had to put, because of the head of this laser pointer, kind of is higher here than back here. So in order to make up the difference, I put some Velcro. If you can see down there, I got some Velcro so that this lays relatively in line with the dovetail. In other words, this is not up like that. You don't want it doing that. You want it, because that's going to throw your alignment off. You want it to be parallel to this. Let's head back out to the Hidden Valley Observatory so you can see this setup.
Okay, well, welcome back. Let's go over how to set up the Skywatcher AZ GTI when you're going to be using it as an equatorial wedge for a smart telescope. Now, I know some of you guys have probably done this thing before, but there's one or two little things that are a bit different and you might want to check it out. So let's begin. Okay, the first thing we want to do is take the bracket and put it in place. Tighten it up. The saddle needs to be straight up and down or perpendicular to the ground. Then take a torpedo level, or in this case, I just use a piece of wood. I drilled out a hole so that it would go over this screw here. And you want to get it level first, east and west. You also want to have the GTE with the side that says Skywatcher facing west, W for west. Typically it goes the other way, but when you're using it as a wedge, you want the Skywatcher facing west. These two legs here, once again, are east and west. And this front leg is going to be your north leg pointing towards Polaris roughly. So I'm a little high here. We're going to raise this up. Okay, we got it there. We got it there. Now the next part is you rotate the head to a north-south position. Now this tripod has this extender and a locking screw on this side, so it makes this process pretty easy. And now we're level north and south. So now we'll go back to this position, check it, and we're good. So once the tripod is level, the next step is to point it towards Polaris. And it's roughly like that. And I'm doing this in a day so that you can clearly see this. We'd put our laser on, and then we would rotate this way or that way manually until we get on Polaris. And then release the clutch here and go up or down until you're pointing to Polaris. Once you're on Polaris, you shut the laser off and you would mount your smart scope here once this is aligned. Then you would turn on this GTE and fire up the app in order to do the final alignments and get on the pole. Now it's a bit breezy out here tonight. I brought a weight in order to ballast this and give it a little more stability. This is not absolutely necessary. It's just a step I like to take because I like to maximize my chances of getting zero deviation and staying there throughout the night. So now that you know how to set this up, let's go ahead and do a real polar alignment. All right, so we're back and it's dark and I could see Polaris right now. So the first step after setting the mount up and getting it level and putting the bracket inside the saddle is to lower it roughly towards Polaris, and then turn the laser on. And I could see Polaris right there, not too far off. Then I'm going to loosen this stem and rotate it like this, and now I'm right on Polaris. So with that, I'll lock this clutch down, lock this down. And the other thing, guys, if you have one of these, you want to keep this down all the way retracted into the base so that you don't get any movement. If you're sticking up, you can get a little bit of movement. So that's done. We turn it off. Now we get the dwarf. You put the label facing south and the back of it facing north. That laser really speeds up this process because now we should be within a degree or two of the pole if you installed your laser properly like it was shown in the shop. Then you want to get this to where it's in line with this bracket up here. Tighten it up. So now we turn on the dwarf and turn on the mount, because at this point our adjustments to the pole are going to be done with the Skywatcher AZGTI, and we won't use any more manual control. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look for the Wi-Fi signal being put out by the GTI, and we come over here to Wi-Fi, and there it is there. We're connected. Open up the app. With that connected, we connect to the Dwarf Lab, and again, we got to find the Wi-Fi signal. Okay, so we're connected to the Dwarf 3. Okay, so we're connected to the Skywatcher and the Dwarf 3. So to get to your equatorial mode, at least on the Dwarf 3, you would open the deep sky and then you would skip this, and then these three little dots you see over here would appear. Now, with the Dwarf 3, you want to make sure that the camera is pointed upward to the sky, which we already done, and you can see a few little stars there because it's going to require that. You have to open it up. So with that, we clicked on the two little dots and we click EQ mode, and we continue with the EQ setup. And you say you're ready here, next. And now it's going to take a series of pictures to calculate how far off the pole you are. Now, typically with the laser, get within 2 degrees. That's typically how it's been running. And over here, if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the app, the Skywatcher app. And that's how we're going to control our adjustments on the pole. So now it's saying 2 degrees, but we want to be more precise. So we click on be more precise. And now it's going to tell us what the error is. So we're 1 degree counterclockwise and 2 degrees up. We come over to our pad. If you look at this pad here, the two little arrows on the left and the right up at the top will increase or lower your speed. We can see that. See the center number drop to 5. I'll touch this one and it raises to 6. If you orientated the Skywatcher with the logo facing west, then this pad will work in this manner. The bottom key will raise the scope up, the top key will lower it, the right key will go clockwise, and the left key will go counterclockwise. We need to go counterclockwise 1 degree, press that, and then we need to come up 2 degrees, so we'll hit this, and now we'll go next. As far as how long you touch it and how many times will depend on the speed, and after a while you'll get the hang of it as far as, you get a little more finesse with it. So now it's going to calculate the error. Now we're within 1 degree, but we want to be more precise.
So it's saying we got to come up 1 degree. So again, we're going to press the down arrow to come up. Again, if you orientated the Skywatcher mount the way I showed during the daytime there. So we're going to press this and I gave it 3 little taps. We'll go, and that's at 6, so we'll go next. So we've already eliminated the azimuth error, and now we just got to eliminate the alt error. It's saying 1 degree. I still want it to come up, so apparently we didn't hit it enough. 3 more taps. I'd rather walk it in there than overshoot it, because then it's a cat and mouse game if you go too much, especially at 1 degree. Okay, there it is, guys. 0 deviation. Now that took probably less than 3 minutes. Once you get connected to your Skywatcher and your dwarf, it's that quick. It's just a matter of making sure that you are connected. And yeah, so whether you got the C star or not, it's definitely doable. You can get real precise with this. This is 0, so I'm going to be pulling down 2-minute subs with this. So now, with that done, shut off your Skywatcher motorized mount now. In this case, just shut it off. To give a demonstration on what kind of error or tracking error we're going to have, we're going to go for M81 tonight. As soon as we get there, we'll pull down a sub so you can, okay, so it says it's on it. So let's pull down a 2-minute sub. I'm going to set this up, and we've got the shutter here. We need 2 minutes, 120 seconds. The filter, we're going to use the Astro filter right there. And then over here, we're going to go gain at 60. That's unity gain for a dwarf 3. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much the process there on getting on the pole. Once you create that Dakota bracket, you're going to be able to get on there pretty fast. I'll speed this up for you guys so you don't have to sit through all of this. But we'll be back in a minute or two. And we're almost done with that first sub, and we'll get to take a look at what a 0 deviation can do on a 2-minute sub. And that's going to be almost should be pulling it in. One thing I will say, the dwarf's a little slow when it comes to, this part of the deal. Okay, guys, so there it is. That is a 2-minute sub with the dwarf, and it's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So that's what you can get when you're doing, 0 deviation. Now, I'm going to try to grab, like I said, a 90 2-minute subs, and then we'll have a stack. And then from there, it's looking like IC 1318, the Butterfly Nebula, and Cygnus, the center of the Northern Cross, is going to be up high enough, about 40-something degrees, to where after this runs, we're going to swing over there and grab some dual band data with this dwarf. And comes morning, we'll post the stack and let you take a look. So we'll see you just in a little bit, although that little bit's going to be a whole night for me, but for you, it's just going to be a second or two. See you then. Bye.
Well, it's morning, and we were able to get a couple of 3 hours of data. And here's what we got after we stacked it all up. Okay, so that's 2 hours right there of 81, 82 Bodies. And from there, Cygnus was up high enough, so we went to IC1318, the Butterfly Nebula. And I decided to let it run for the rest of the night and captured 4 hours and 20 minutes. And this is what we got. Well, I tell you, I was happy with it and happy with Bodie's too. So getting on the pole sure makes a difference. Pulling down 2-minute subs when you're doing narrowband like that really helps because, you know, the light is more restricted. Well, that'll do it, folks, for this workshop. Now, if you like what you saw here today, give us a thumbs up or subscribe or comment. It helps build the channel up, and that way I can continue to bring you these kind of workshops, which, you know, make the journey, your adventure a little bit more enjoyable and easier. Anyway, we appreciate you tuning in, and certainly appreciate my subscribers and folks that are kind of supporting the channel in that way. So until next time, thanks for tuning in to the channel, Dakota Starry Nights. Y'all stay safe and hey, clear skies.